As the political season progresses and I started making videos on politics, I'm still sticking with, you know, the narcissism because I know how important it is to myself, to everybody out there who watches, to get this condition out in the light. But as I'm back in my political frame of mind, I'm thinking, how do I relate this? And it's really not hard to relate it to narcissism or to the narcissist. Because what many of us are going through and what many of us face with the narcissist is a Cold War, much like we have in the 80s with the old Soviet Union and the United States, where there wasn't much communication. We're trying to cut each other off, sanctioning each other. But what made all things equal back in the Cold War? It's pointing nuclear weapons at each other, unfortunately. And the way it seems when you deal with the narcissist is that they're the only ones with the weapons. And that's why we cower and we live in fear of them. But is that true? Well, yeah, to a certain extent it is. But what changes the narcissist? What scares the narcissist, and what makes your abuser run and hide and try to change tactic? Well, publicly bringing it to light. YouTube channels, Facebook blogs, Twitter. These are our own nuclear weapons, or our own nuclear protection for that matter. Once you've got no contact and you have cut off all sight, sound, communication with your abuser, you don't know what's going on. Your imagination runs wild. You feel like they have all the power over you. You have no way to fight back or to protect yourself. And that's the way I felt before I started making these videos and making this channel. And I knew at the time, and I always been saying, these videos, this channel is power of protection from the narcissist. It keeps the narcissist and the abuser at bay. Because they know you have the ability. They know you're showing the world of how evil and bad that they are. That's why the narcissist, you take Iran, for example, how hard we're fighting to keep Iran from getting being nuclear capable, which is important, which is the right thing to do. They shouldn't have a warhead. Why? Because they're freaking crazy and they lie and they scream death to America, death to America, death to America. But isn't that what our narcissist basically in so many words does to us? They try to keep us in a state where we can't protect ourselves. At the same time yelling, some cases, death to you, or death to what you are, to the real person you are, to the person that could fight them off, is what they're trying to avoid. Because once you create a platform like this, much like we're afraid of Iran, as we should be, and I'm not saying we're Iran, but the reasoning behind keeping the weapon out of Iran's hand is the same reason why your abuser tries to keep you from going public, talking about it, creating your own channel, putting your own story out there. Because once you have the basic framework, it's impossible to stop. It's the same mentality of the Cold War. Whereas in the 80s, when we were in the Cold War with the Soviets, it was a matter of, you got to outspend them. We got to have more than they do, and hopefully they go bankrupt doing it, which is what happened to the Soviet Union, which is what will happen to your abuser if you keep putting your story out there, because you have the truth about what happened. You have the reality, and you have the more powerful weapon because you got the truth behind it. And what happens to the narcissist every time they try to fight one of these? They end up losing their own credibility, losing their own mind, their weapons blow up in their own faces until utter collapse, much like we saw of the Soviet Union. So it is very comparable. You need to take on your narcissist, your abuser, much like and consider it as if you are in a Cold War. But a Cold War is not only no contact, sanctioning them off, cutting them off. You need a means of protecting yourself. Channels like this, I encourage everybody who watches my channel, if you have a story of your own, put it out there. And the more you start talking about it, the easier it gets. And you will see for yourself how getting your story out there will in turn actually protect you and drive your narcissist further and further and further away and make them more and more and more desperate, as is evidenced in my situation with my father going so far as to forge my name on loan paperwork in order to win his war to keep my daughter alienated for me. This is what I'm talking about. They eventually blow themselves up, have a Chernobyl-like meltdown because they're so desperate to keep up with their tactics. What happens? Meltdown. We can win this fight, but more and more of us need to step up and talk about it. And as difficult as it is for me to do this, and as emotional draining as it is for me to do a lot of these videos where I talk about the personal stuff, at the end of the day, it benefits me, it protects me, and it drives the narcissist that much closer to their own collapse and nuclear meltdown. This is Ollie Matthews. Thanks for watching. Everybody who has contributed to my GoFundMe, thank you again. Link is going to be still in the box. If you can continue to help out, awesome. If you just can share, awesome as well. I'm still going towards my goal. I have over $3,100 in just over a month, which is spectacular as well. You know, I can't say enough, but this fight is not over. You know, I am this close, and you can't capitulate now. You have to see it through, which is what I'm doing. So the link's in the box. Please donate if you can. Share the link if that's all you could do. It would be greatly appreciated. Also, the link to my new channel, Generation X Politics, is in the box as well. If you could subscribe, if you want to subscribe to that, if you're interested in what I'm saying politically, please subscribe to that. Even if you're not, subscribe anyway, and come argue politics, because that's what I like to do. It's different than arguing narcissism, because narcissism is something that is of an abuse, and we've all dealt with. It's a little different. Politics is something we could all get involved in, whether you agree or disagree. Come check it out. Tell me why I'm right. Tell me why I'm wrong. And it's going to be it's going to be a much more fun type of channel than this, than the heavy stuff I deal with here. So again, this is Ollie Matthews. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again real soon.